Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Welcome back to Spanish Lessons with Professor Jason. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the a personal, or the personal a. Now, what is the personal a, or the a personal? It's that little letter A that sometimes gets inserted right after the verb and right before our direct objects. Seems like when they're people, okay, as the name would imply, the a personal, but it seems like there's a little bit of confusion when to use it and when not to use it. So hopefully this lesson will help to clear things up a little bit. When do we use the a personal and what is it? All right, I'm going to use the whiteboard and give a bunch of examples while I talk about the rules, and hopefully by the end of the presentation we'll have a much clearer understanding. Okay? Okay, let's begin by sort of reviewing the concept of direct objects. Remember, in Spanish, your typical sentence order is the same as it is in English, right? You have a subject, then a verb, followed by an object, and our direct object is when that object directly follows the verb, usually without any type of interceding preposition, right? Words like de, en, con, para, por, etc. Also, the direct object answers the question who or what directly receives the action of the verb. So, for example, if my sentence in English, just to get us started, were I answer the phone, right? Subject, verb, object, in this case a direct object, right? The phone is our direct object. It answers the question, what I answer. Our direct object can also be a person, which is important for this lesson, right? It can be something like, she knows Jeff. Okay? She knows Jeff. We have a subject, a verb, and a direct object, in this case answering the question who directly receives the action of the verb without any interceding preposition. Now, what's different about Spanish and the a personal is that when this direct object refers to a specific person, okay, we have to introduce an a, right? That's what this lesson is mainly going to focus on. So the first and most important situation in which we have to use the a personal is when we have a direct object that refers to a specific person or persons. So for example, if I want to say, I visit my cousins, right? I have my subject and my verb sort of all wrapped into one, yo visito. Then I have to insert the a personal, a, and then I say, mis primos, right? Visito a mis primos. Oh, yo visito a mis primos. Okay? We have our subject and verb. We have our direct object. But since it refers to a specific person, we have to use the a personal in Spanish. There really is no equivalent in English. You wouldn't have anything. Okay? Another example, right? Who did we invite? This can be in any tense. In this case, we have a past tense. Who did we invite? Well, we invited our friends. Invitamos a nuestros amigos. Hopefully you can see my handwriting there. Invitamos a nuestros amigos. Invitamos a nuestros amigos. Okay? Again, a personal because our direct object here, right, refers to a specific person or persons. Another example. Do you know Juan? Sort of like our example before, right? She knows Jeff. Do you know Juan? ¿Conoces? And even in the question we need it because we're anticipating that we'll have to have it in the answer. ¿Conoces a Juan? Most likely I would answer, sí, lo conozco, using direct object pronoun, but I could technically say sí, right? Sí, conozco a Juan. O no, no conozco a Juan. Okay? A couple other examples. These are some of the typical verbs that you do see the a personal with, right? Verbs like visitar, verbs like to see someone, ver a, to invite someone, invitar, to know someone, conocer, even to call someone, llamar, right? These are just a few of the verbs that would often require that a personal. So let's show you another example. Okay, with the verb llamar, right? Llamar, to call. I might say, I called my parents, right? Llamé a mis padres. Again, this is that standard use of the a personal when the direct object, right? Our direct object is a specific person or persons. Yo llamé a mis padres. I called my parents. It's required when your direct object is a specific person. How about if I wanted to say, I love my kids? I would have amo a mis hijos. Amo a mis hijos. Amo a mis hijos. Okay. Amo a mis hijos. Again, another example with a question. Who did you invite? Who did you invite? ¿A quién invitaste? So here we have, again, the a personal, showing up in our question. It's anticipated in the answer. Pretend this is just like a little mini dialogue. Person might say, I invited, invité a Javier, and I could even add a second person, y a Norma. Oops, Norma. It would help if I could spell. Okay, so invité a Javier y a Norma. Okay, ¿a quién invitaste? Invité a Javier y a Norma. Again, we have to have this a personal because our direct objects are specific, definite persons that we're referring to. Now, the Spanish speakers, native speakers of Spanish, will also use the a personal when they personify objects. For example, I love my country, amo a mi país, right? Or, for example, let me just write that one real quick. Amo a mi país. And very often, mi país, I love my country, amo a mi país. And very often when they personify pets, right? Domestic animals. So something like another verb that means to love. Quiero mucho a mi gatito. Quiero mucho a mi gatito. I love my kitty cat. Quiero mucho a mi gatito. O queremos mucho a whatever the pet's name is, right? Queremos mucho a Pepita, okay, for example. So pets can also be personified, and then the personal a would apply. Now, the personal a is also used before indefinite expressions such as nadie, no one, and alguien. Sorry for my handwriting. The whiteboard is sort of at a strange angle. Someone, right? Nadie or alguien. For example, if I wanted to say, I don't know anyone here, I don't know anyone here, it would be no conozco a nadie. No conozco a nadie, right? Subject and verb, yo no conozco, nadie, direct object, that's an indefinite expression. How about, I'm looking for someone from my class. Busco a alguien de mi clase. Busco a alguien de mi clase. So remember those. Nadie and alguien do take the a personal. Okay? Do take the a personal. Seems to contradict that rule that if it's an indefinite or a non-specific person that you wouldn't have it, but in the case of alguien and nadie, remember that you do need it. And then finally, remember that it's not used with objects in general or with unspecified persons. So I might say, if I just want to say, I need a secretary. Necesito una secretaria. I'm not referring to any person in particular, right? Or I'm looking for a babysitter. Busco una niñera. We're still doing the subject, verb, object syntactic arrangement, right? But since these people are non-specific, indefinite persons, right, we don't have the a personal. We don't have the a personal. Just like we wouldn't if they were objects, right? Like, for example, I need money. Necesito dinero. Who doesn't, right? Necesito dinero. Or I'm looking for a home. Busco casa. Busco una casa. Okay? So, if we're talking about objects or unspecific persons, we're not going to use the a personal. So again, the general rule is if your verb introduces a direct object that's a specific person, right? That's a specific person, you need to have the a personal. Conozco a Jaime, I saw Julia, vi a Julia, etc. Okay? We have our subject, verb, our direct objects that are specific, albeit fictional people. Okay? And then one other quick note, generally the a personal is not used after the verb tener. So for example, I have 3 sisters. Actually, I have 4 sisters. I better be accurate here, right? Tengo 4 hermanas. It's just an exception, even though my sisters are very specific people. Tengo 4 hermanas. You do not use the a personal usually after tener. All right? Okay, that concludes our lesson on the a personal. Hopefully those examples and the rules that we talked about are going to be helpful in remembering when and why we need to use the a personal in Spanish. I hope you found the video lesson to be helpful, and as always, I welcome your questions, comments, and suggestions, so please do take a couple minutes and leave me a comment letting me know what you thought about this particular video lesson. This has been Professor Jason. As always, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you at the next lesson. Hasta pronto. Ciao.